guys, welcome to the Unmuted Podcast. It's Pastor Stevie, joined by Pastor Leroy, and this is not Pastor Ron that is here right now. We actually have Pastor Leroy's wife, Julie. So, Julie, welcome to your first time on the podium.
You ain't got to call her Pastor Leroy's wife. You call her Julie.
That's what I said.
We
Pastor
know
Leroy's,
who she is.
Sorry, we have Julie.
She the real boss around here.
She's called to the podium. Are you the reason why the carpet was wet this morning? I'm kidding.
No.
I literally had to throw out our carpet, which is upsetting, but it's fine. It's fine. Okay, anyways, time for another day. So today we are, first off, please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you know when we post. So today I really wanted to talk to you guys about discipline and kind of what you guys do spiritually just to keep you guys, in line with God and, like what you guys do in your lives that sustains your faith in Jesus, right? Because a lot of people, they give their lives to Christ and then they don't do anything after that. Mm-hmm. Or they go super hard the first 6 months, which I think we've all seen, right? And then people fall off so quickly. So the question that I want to ask you guys is, how have you guys not fallen off so quickly? You guys have been serving for 10 years now?
Yep.
Probably longer than that, right?
Yeah.
It's 10 years.
Yeah.
So
probably longer, but yeah.
So how have you guys been able to sustain a consistency in not just ministry, but also following Jesus? Like what have you guys done to sustain that?
I'm gonna let you start.
You want me to start? Okay. I'll start with the following Jesus. I think people put such a strain on themselves by staying at a certain level. And our levels always go up and down. We have seasons where we're on fire, we're doing amazing, everything. And then there are seasons where you can't get that whole to-do list done that you want to get done. And people will fall off because of that. They'll miss one day reading their Bible, end up missing 5 days reading their Bible. It's just the consistency of wanting to do something, connect with God in some way. So I have multiple things I do. First, start my morning with prayer before I even get out of bed. Even if I'm running late, I'll hit that snooze button real quick and just take that time to pray. And then read my Bible every day. Those two things I do consistently every day because that's really the bare minimum to keep that relationship open.
I agree with her. Yeah, I mean, you gotta start for prayer. I think you wake up in the morning. Me personally, I don't even start off praying. I start off praising. I wake up in the morning, hey, thank you, Lord, and literally I'm praising God in that moment. Like, Lord, thank you for waking me up this morning. And a lot of times I have a song in my head. And God will play that song in my head, and I'll sing it or I'll hum it or something to where it keeps that fire, that drive. So
interesting. Okay, so as parents, right? Would you say that because you guys got 4 kids, right? Which a lot of people have like 4 kids nowadays, which is a lot, So are there some days where like you don't get to all of the things that you can do just because your day is so crazy? Like, has there been a time where like you guys were like, dang, like I had to do all of these things today. I wasn't able to really I was able to read my Bible, but not as deep as I could. You guys have had days where that has happened, right? Mm-hmm. So I know you said that like some people like they treat their spiritual life as a checklist, and when they don't get that checklist, right, they're like, oh my gosh, I'm being unfaithful. Yep. What would you say to that person where they're like, yo, like I'm trying, but I forget, my job is crazy. Like, what would you say to them? Do
what you can do. So I always struggled because people always told me when I was a young Christian, oh, you wake up in the morning, you read your Bible. I'm like, I got 4 kids. Most time I wake up, at that time, I woke up to a kid screaming for something, to where I'm not an early morning person. I do my devotional every night because that's when I have time to actually sit down and quiet with God. And that, again, with what you were saying about kids, is set that standard for your kids. My kids will come in my room when I'm doing my devotional, and I will clearly tell them as soon as they enter, I'm doing my devotional right now. Is this really something important? And if they just want to sit in my room, I say, hey, you can sit in here and, read with me if you want to just spend time with me. It's setting that precedent to your kid. Don't make them feel like they're being replaced with God. Make them see how important God is to you. So then they also want to go do their devotional or sit with you while you read your devotional.
She cooking right now.
She is, bro.
She cooking right now. She cooking right now. Okay.
Gotta get you on here more often.
Yeah, right. at least once a month. Whenever Pastor Ron came over here. Not, and I wholeheartedly agree. You know, like it's like you have to choose to. It's like every day we have to choose to follow God every day, because there's always something inside of us that, like, we could be doing 10 other things. You know, you could be making breakfast. You could be, for me, is walking the dog. You could be cleaning something. But when you wake up and you say, God, I'm going to, read Psalms, or I am going to spend some quiet time with you, you're sacrificing that part of your flesh to spend time with Jesus Christ. And I know, like, for all of us, like, we're pretty much like the disciplined, orderly people, as in, like, we always are praying and reading and stuff like that. So for someone that's just first starting off, right? Like, think about when you guys first started. And I'm actually happy that you guys are here, because you guys deal with a lot of new, followers that want to take their spirituality more serious. What are some things that you guys do to start off someone where, like, they're like, yo, like, I've been following Jesus for like a year or maybe 5 years, or I am new. I want to really start taking my spirituality serious. What are some disciplines I can do now to help me, just be a better obedient servant of Christ?
I mean, so I would say personally, what you can do is you can do what she said. You can set a reminder on your phone that says, hey, I need to read my Bible, at whatever time you got the time to do it. Like she was saying, her schedule was crazy to where, like, in the morning, she don't got time to sit there and read. So she knows at night, like, that's her time she can do that. Like, you got to set up a plan for you personally that's going to allow you to grow by yourself, individually, you know what I mean? Things like that. So you set a reminder or something like that, have a schedule. Like, you can literally write out a schedule on how you can get that time to spend time with God. It just depends. You just got to make it, however you can for you.
You mentor a lot more people than I do, and you actually suggest them certain books when they start.
Oh yeah. So you talking about Bible books? Yeah. Thank you for reminding. She got my 6. So I always tell people that they need to start in Matthew, and I say you actually need to read the Gospels, the 4 Gospels, to understand who God is in general. Like, if you start there, you can go back to the Old Testament, and then you'll be able to understand the Old Testament better too. Because if you start in the New Testament, then you understand who God is and the purpose that He has for your life, and then it'd be easier to read the Old Testament. Because a lot of times when people first read the Old Testament, it seems like God's an angry God, and why is He always killing people, and then they don't understand the Bible, so then they get turned off. But if you start on the Gospels, you understand the love of Christ, the love of God, and what He has for us, and then you can go back to the Old Testament and go from there. So.
And it's like, discipline in the Bible has always been a weird thing. I mean, you even think about, like, Abram, right? Before he was Abraham, God's promised him, like, yo, like, I'm going to give you, like, look at the freaking earth. Your descendants will be all the billions of people will come from your bloodline.
Right.
This dude still sleeps with Hagar. With God, like, bro, it drives me crazy. God appeared to this dude with a dark cloud and said, bro, this is my promise to you. He appeared to him on mountains, and Abraham had all these actual encounters with God that a lot of us don't have. A lot of us haven't seen. Well, people think they have. We're not going to go down that road, but a lot of people, haven't had the experience that Abraham had. Abraham still disobeys God, goes against his own discipline, sleeps with Hagar. And, then we get Ishmael, right? So just like Abraham messed up, we all do in our discipline to God. And God does promise us, just like that we will have a deep relationship with Him, due to us, living a disciplined life and a self-controlled life. So the next question that I really want to dig a little deep on is, why is it that, or, why do you guys think a lot of Christians know the promises of God, of what comes with living a disciplined life, but they don't do it, we have people like you were teaching in Wolfpack 24/7 about that. We have Pastor Ron who teaches about that. I teach about that. You talk about that with the people that are under you. What have you guys, like, what is a pattern that you guys have seen in people that say they want to, but for some reason it's just not cracking? Or have you guys been in that spot as well, where, like, what the word says, but you're not, it's not getting anywhere? Right.
I think Abram did the same thing we do. Like, we hear what God wants us to do. A lot of times people will know their long-term goal, and that's all they're focused on. And that's what he did. He's like, well, God said I'm going to have a bunch but my wife's not able to. So how can I make this possible? And that's why he did it. It's nothing different than what we do now. It's like, oh yeah, we know we want to be here, but what do we do to get there? And instead of being patient, and I know with me, patience is not my strong suit. So I remind myself daily. We recently moved, and God told me early on, we ain't gonna get a place until it's time. Like, this ain't gonna be quick, Julie. Know this. And our flesh wanted to be like, fill out every application, apply everywhere, do everything we need to do, run. And I had to step back and remind myself every day, God says it's gonna be a while. Let's not be wasteful with our money and go throw it everywhere trying to apply for these places. We gotta listen to what he's telling us. But it's that constant, like, no, calm down. I have to tell myself to calm down a lot.
Yeah. So you would say that a lot of people are just impatient and they're not, and they do have a long-term goal, but they're kind of like living it in the right now. How about you, Roy?
So for me, honestly, I see a lot of people that don't know God's promises personally. I see that happen more often than not. And one of the main things that we do, or we try to do, is try to actually teach people what God's promises is, so that they can actually walk in God's promises. Because, I mean, you know, like starting off early, you don't know God's promises anyway. So like, and you don't know all of the words of what God is telling you, and you know how He tells you you're made in His image, and like a lot of believers don't even know the basic of what God is saying to them, and you know how they should be walking. So you know, I think building them up in the first place, and letting them know what the promises is, teaching them promises is what matters more. Because, like I said, people don't even know the promises themselves. You know. And Abraham had a promise, and even he didn't believe the promise. Like, so you fall into that a lot too, like where people, they might even know or hear the promise, but they don't believe the promise enough, like she said, to actually wait for that promise or walk in that promise. So, yeah. And
it's just wild because I mean, so many people say to me, like people that don't know God, they're like, yo, like I need a direct like communication God. And I'm like, dude, Abraham had direct communication. Moses, all these dudes did, right? And they still messed up. But I do think that it is something beautiful. But before I get to that, you know, I do think that another reason why a lot of people don't live a disciplined life, though, is because they're scared, you know, and I've been saying this in youth group, like a lot of you guys don't want to put all of your chips in because you are afraid that if you put your chips into anything and you fail, you will be nothing. And a lot of people are like afraid of that. Like, and I'm pretty sure you guys have seen that. While a lot of people, like, prime example, right? You and I just got done scoping out people for deacons and possible pastors, right? You know, some of those guys aren't going to put all their chips in because they're scared. Yep. You know, and you know, but this is why spiritual discipline is a discipline, because it is like spiritual discipline isn't for when things are good. It's for when things go bad, that you have that discipline of when things don't go my way, I'm still going to go to Christ. Which is why, my theory, you know, Abraham had direct contact with God. Why didn't he go to God about his doubts about Sarai? Why didn't he say, God, can you, like, what's going to happen, right? But think about that though. When he got doubtful, he didn't call to Jesus. He physically did something. And I feel like a lot of times he took control. Exactly. You know, a lot of times us as Christians, we want to physically do stuff because that's the world that we're in. You know, like that thing might like break my hand. Like I want to grab this stupid leaf that Pastor Ron got, which I don't know if it's a real.
No.
Oh. I want to grab this leaf, right? Like I want to grab things. So it's very, very interesting. So a lot of us have now. I know Julie read this. We went down the John Mark Comer box for like a while, and I know you read some of it too, right?
He got a new book coming out now.
Yeah, God has a name. He rewrote it. I need to order that, by the way. But you know, John Mark Comer did a whole thing.
I wasn't a John Mark Comer fan until you guys. Now I'm like, yo, I'll read everything he does.
Yeah, he's a savage. Man. So this is one of our last things before we wrap up. But you know, John Mark Comer went on. He has a whole list of spiritual disciplines, and we're not going to go through each one, but he has this moniker where he says, you know, be with Jesus, become like Jesus, and do what Jesus did. By the way, stole that for youth group, by the way. But that's his moniker, and I do believe that those three things encompass what a Christian needs to be.
100%.
Now, when you think about these three, be with Jesus, become like Jesus, do what Jesus did, which one do you think a lot of Christians struggle with? Do they struggle being with Do they struggle being with him? Do they struggle more trying to become like him, or do they struggle more doing what he did?
That's a loaded question.
I know. I know it's deep. My bad.
Dang.
I've had
All
this
three,
written
to
down.
be honest. But struggle with more though. Dang.
Yeah.
Becoming like Jesus, I think.
Why?
I think it's exactly what you said earlier. Discipline. To become like Jesus, you got to have the discipline Jesus had. And a lot of people, they don't want that discipline.
Yeah.
And it's just a fact. Even seasoned Christians. I mean, it took us a long time to get there to understand the fact that we needed to have that type of discipline to get to where we needed to get to. You know, and we still not perfect. You know, we suck too, but
Same here.
We try to do better every day. That's what it comes down to. So yeah.
Yep. Because becoming like Jesus, because the way he lived was just so extraordinary. You know what I mean? Like, I was reading the Good Samaritan the other day, and that story always gets me, because I can't say, like, I would stop and care for it. You know what I mean? Because our earthly self is like, they might hurt me, they might rob me. You know what I mean? Like, we think about the things that will happen to us. So I think becoming like Jesus is the hardest.
And you guys are right. Jesus was very, it's like, I mean, think about Mark 2, right? After he healed all of these people. By the way, Jesus is savage, because in chapter 1, you know, the freaking demon was about to declare that Jesus was the Messiah. He's like, shut up. Quiet. I want to say it on my own time.
Right.
Quiet, you stupid demon, right? But then Mark chapter 2 says Jesus did what? He got up, got away from the people, and spent quiet time with the Lord. But that's the discipline that a lot of us as Christians like. And I think that I would say it's a mix. I think it's being with Jesus and becoming like him, because a lot of people, it's hard for a lot of people to fathom the idea that they're talking to someone that's not there physically, you know, and you know, like, the reality is that we can do all the talking, we can read every Bible verse, but all of us in our own merit has had a spiritual experience with Jesus that changed us forever.
Yep.
What is that word? Like we all have our own Damascus road. Where, you know, Paul went on that
100%.
road, he became blind, and he saw Jesus in a way that he never saw him before, and it changed him forever, you know. And a lot of people, the reality is, and I said this in youth group as well, a lot of people have been gaslit into being saved. You know, their parents have took them to church, they forced themselves to go here, and they believe that he exists, but they don't follow him. They're not actual disciples. So the last question that I have to wrap up is, what has made you a better disciple in your life this year?
This year?
Yeah.
This year, wow. Okay.
This year.
You want to go?
You got an answer?
You can go first.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm going to go past this year. I don't like following rules, Stevie, okay?
Hey, Julie, I know you more than most. Go ahead.
But like you said, we got saved in 2013. And we hit the ground running. We got mentors. We went to small groups. We just were on fire because we went through so much before our salvation. So I hit a point last year in 2023 where I'm like, do I truly know the word through and through? So I did. I actually wore my shirt today. The Bible recap, where you read the Bible through 1 year. And it just grew me so much to where I think it falls into what we've been talking about this whole time, is the discipline of it. We're so lucky that we have the resources. We don't have to be like they were in Bible times and, you know, having to like travel far to get the word. Like, it's in our phone. It's in my pocket. So the Bible recap really helped me grow closer to Jesus. And this year, I'm actually 2025, I'm planning on doing it again, because each year we grow. Each time we read the Bible, we get something different from it. And she's huge about not searching for yourself in the Bible, but searching for God and Jesus, and how we can become more disciplined, more obedient through what we read from Genesis to Revelation.
Yeah, mine's is so I think for me it's been my family. Like, seeing her grow, right? Get closer to God, pressing, all these things. it's like I'm not gonna be behind. Like I'm competitive. I'm not
getting cooked
I'm
up.
not getting cooked, bro. It's not gonna happen. And then my son, you know, he well, both my sons and and my daughters too, really, because Natalia's the same way. They all be like sharing Bible verses and like when you live with people that are pressed in, you ain't got no choice but to step up. Like seriously, like my wife's pressed in. Now my kids are pressed in. If I slack off, bro, I'm cooked. I'm the weak link in the house. That's not gonna happen. I can't do it.
As the leader of the house, you can't.
Yeah, you can't do it. You can't. So to me, it's like, all right, I see her study, right, and not that I don't study on my own anyway, but like the as deep as she dove, and then my son started his old like lion pride thing,
Bible study,
and he started diving in. He asking me questions. Like, Dad, well, what do you think about this? Like, you know what I mean? And then my daughter's like the same thing. Like I take them to school like in the morning, so a lot of times they'll be asking me questions about the Bible or something like that. So like I gotta be ready to answer. I can't just like, oh well, I'll get back to you. Nah, I gotta know so that like I can answer their questions. So they make me press in even more because of how they're growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was already at like a decent level, but they make it even more. So for me, that's probably what it's been this year.
100%. Good,
Yeah,
good. I think for me, it's been giving people grace. Like you guys know, I can be very cutthroat. Julie probably relates a little more because we're both like that, the same area. Like I have a limit of grace for people. You know what I mean? And kind of like I do feel like this year, man, God's been really wrecking me and showing me like the things that I'm not doing great in, which has really allowed me to have more grace towards what other people are going through. Because being a pastor, it can sometimes cloud your mind, and you're a pastor wife, so like you guys see it as well. Like it can sometimes cloud your mind of when you're dealing with everybody else's sin, and you're kind of taking it on, and you have to like be able to give guidance and counsel. It can sometimes cloud your judgment and your grace of what people are going through. And that's really been like what's made me a better disciple is, having a better understanding of what people are going through and saying, and not just saying, oh, they're not serious, they're not this, they're not that, but saying, no, this is God's child and I have to care and shepherd them because that's God's child. So that's been what's good for me. So, all right. We thank you guys for watching this. We hope you guys have taken something that you can learn from the wisdom of Mrs. Folks. Joining us today. Thank you, Julie, for joining. You will definitely see more because Pastor Ron's not here every week. So whenever he's not here, this is our backup.
Right. I did want to say one thing. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
With obedience, it takes time, and I think that's people's biggest struggle. When I mentor people, that's the biggest struggle. Is you said people get gaslighted into salvation. It's because that's instant gratification of I'm not going to hell. You know what I mean? But there's so much more to Christianity and having a relationship to Christ than just not going to hell. And it's like, it's when you tap into God, it's so great. And people just, when we struggle with grace, I know me personally, it's because I see in people my old self. And I want so much better for them. And it's like that blessing is going to come if you keep working. Please just be obedient and keep working.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely going to clip that and put that in earlier. You know what I'm saying? That was some good stuff. Yeah. So, all right, guys, thank you so much.
Stop cooking us on this show, right?
Yeah,
don't cook us no more, okay?
Yeah, Julie, relax.
You see why I got to step my game up now, bro?
Yeah. Sound like Priscilla over there. I'm kidding. All right, we're going to end this podcast episode. Thank you guys so much. Please like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Peace out.